It seems obvious to many folk that the present moment is all that exists. But does that really make sense? The deeper we look, the harder it becomes to pin down what now actually means. Because when you actually look at it, physics says there is no universal present, and we covered that earlier in the sections on relativity. And neuroscience says you're always experiencing the past. So if now isn't real, what actually are you living in? Physics, Consciousness and Reality, Dickie Dredd and Nigel Adams. This is part 30 in part 30 of the video series in chapter 3, Consciousness at the Frontier. This is the last part in this chapter. Go on to chapter 4. So, section 27. The meaning of now, the present moment as an illusion. We are told again and again that the present is all we have. The past has slipped beyond reach. The future has not yet arrived. So only this moment is real. Philosophical traditions, from Stoicism to Buddhism, and modern movements of mindfulness and positive psychology, all urge us to come back to the now. Some people have written whole books on it. It is the point of contact with life as it unfolds, not yesterday's regrets or tomorrow's plans, but this breath, this sensation, this thought. For many, this focus on immediacy brings relief, a quieting of the ruthless mind that is forever darting between what has been and what might be. But the notion of now is less straightforward than it seems. In physics, time is bound up with space, part of the fabric of space-time rather than a separate flow. What counts as the present depends on where you are and how fast you are moving. Relativity teaches us there is no universal now, only local perspectives stitched into a wider geometry, and we covered that in section 3. Two observers, moving differently, will not agree on what events are simultaneous. The now begins to dissolve under scrutiny, no longer an absolute slice of reality, but a patchwork of relative frames. Neuroscience complicates the picture still further. Signals from the senses take measurable time to reach the brain. Processing those signals takes longer still. By the time awareness crystallizes into a felt moment, the event it represents has already passed. So we covered that in section 17. To cope, the brain integrates streams of input into a seamless whole, masking delays and stitching perception into what feels like a single, immediate present. But the sense of immediacy is a construction, a useful trick of integration rather than a window onto pure reality. This suggests that now may itself be another illusion, as shaped and contingent as colour or sound. Just as we mistake the icons on a computer desktop for the machinery beneath, we mistake the constructed sense of the present for the underlying process of time. The invitation to live in the moment is therefore double-edged. It may well bring clarity and calm, but it did not reveal a final truth about reality. The present moment is not the ultimate ground, and one more carefully packaged interface that evolution and consciousness have served up. And yet, paradoxically, this may not diminish its importance. If all experience is mediated, then the now remains our only point of access, however constructed it may be. To inhabit it more fully is to work with the interface we have, even if we know it to be partial. The task is not to confuse it with an absolute reality, but to use it as the entry point into awareness, a reminder that even illusions can be transformative when seen clearly. So chapter 3 summary before we move on to chapter 4. Consciousness then leaves us standing at the edge of a mystery. We've seen how psychedelics, shamanism, artificial intelligence and theories of immortality all circle the same enigma, that awareness cannot be reduced to mechanism without remainder. Whether treated as a frontier for neuroscience or as a fundamental feature of reality, consciousness refuses to be boxed in. The attempt to measure, model or extend it always runs up against questions of meaning and perspective. And it is here that mathematics re-enters the story. For if consciousness resists neat explanation, maths tempts us with patterns of elegance that seem to cut deeper than description. Why should abstract symbols capture the structure of reality so well? Why do equations not only work but often do so with a beauty that feels uncanny. The next chapter turns to this tension between rigour and mystery, proof and poetry, to ask whether mathematics is simply a human tool or something fundamental. We will explore its limits, its strange alliance with beauty, and its role in shaping our sense of order. If Chapter 3 showed how consciousness unsettles our categories, Chapter 4 asked whether mathematics might be another way into the puzzle. Less about neurons or experiences, more about numbers, patterns and symmetry. From incompleteness theorems to fine-tuning and the lure of elegance, the focus now shifts to how maths both empowers and unsettles our search for the truth. So the present moment may not be solid reality we assume it to be. One of the most immediate things we experience could itself be a carefully constructed illusion, which means the problem isn't just understanding time, it might be understanding why consciousness creates the feeling of now in the first place. Have you ever actually experienced the present moment at all? Okay, next up we go to Chapter 4, Mathematics, Beauty and Limits, and we'll start at Section 28, Mathematics as Fundamental, Gödel's Incompleteness Theorem and the Edges of Rigour.